President Trump made a significant announcement on February 27, 2025. He revealed his decision to impose new tariffs on imports from Mexico, Canada, and China. These tariffs are set to take effect on March 4th of the same year. This decision has sent shockwaves through the international community and raised concerns about a potential trade war. The tariffs will target a range of goods imported from these countries. For Mexico and Canada, a 25% tariff will be levied. This rate was previously suspended but is now being reinstated. China faces an escalation of existing tariffs. Rates on Chinese goods will increase from 10% to 20%. The affected countries have responded with dismay and warnings of retaliation. Mexico and Canada in particular have expressed their disappointment. They have been engaged in ongoing negotiations with the United States, and this move threatens to derail those efforts. The Trump administration, however, maintains that these tariffs are necessary. They argue that these measures are crucial to protecting American interests and addressing key concerns. These concerns include drug trafficking, unfair trade practices, and national security. A primary justification for the tariffs, particularly those targeting Mexico and Canada, is the issue of drug trafficking. The Trump administration has expressed growing alarm over the flow of illegal drugs, especially fentanyl, across the U.S. border. Fentanyl, a highly potent synthetic opioid, has ravaged communities across the United States. It has fueled a nationwide opioid epidemic, leading to a surge in overdoses and deaths. The administration argues that Mexico and Canada have not done enough to stem the flow of this deadly drug into the U.S. Mexico and Canada, however, counter that they are committed partners in the fight against drug trafficking. They point to their investments in border security, law enforcement cooperation, and efforts to address the root causes of drug production and trafficking. Despite these assurances, the Trump administration remains unconvinced. They believe that tariffs are a necessary tool to pressure these countries into taking more aggressive action. The administration argues that the economic pressure of tariffs will force Mexico and Canada to prioritize this issue. The tariff increase on Chinese goods marks a significant escalation in the ongoing trade war between the world's two largest economies. The Trump administration has long accused China of unfair trade practices, intellectual property theft, and forced technology transfer. These tariffs, according to the administration, are designed to protect American businesses and workers from these practices. They argue that China has not made sufficient concessions in trade talks and that these tariffs are necessary to level the playing field. China, for its part, denies engaging in unfair trade practices. They argue that the tariffs are unjustified and harmful to both economies. The Chinese government has vowed to retaliate with its own tariffs on U.S. goods, raising fears of a tit-for-tat trade war. This escalation of tensions has cast a shadow over the global economy. Businesses and investors are left grappling with uncertainty, unsure of how this trade dispute will unfold and what the ultimate consequences will be. Section 4. Economic Fallout and Market Jitters. The announcement of these new tariffs has sent shockwaves through global markets. Stock markets around the world experienced declines, reflecting investor anxiety about the potential for a trade war and its impact on the global economy. Economists have warned that these tariffs could have a range of negative consequences. These include higher prices for consumers, reduced business investment, and slower economic growth. The tariffs could disrupt global supply chains, increase costs for businesses, and ultimately harm consumers. The extent of the economic fallout, however, remains uncertain. It will depend on a variety of factors, including the duration of the tariffs, the scale of retaliation from affected countries, and the response of businesses and consumers. The Trump administration, however, downplays these concerns. They argue that any short-term economic pain will be outweighed by the long-term benefits of securing fairer trade deals and protecting American jobs. Section 5. Trump's trade tactics and the road ahead. The tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China are part of a broader trade strategy employed by the Trump administration. This strategy prioritizes the use of tariffs as leverage in trade negotiations. The administration believes that tariffs are a powerful tool to extract concessions from trading partners and reduce the U.S. trade deficit. This approach, however, has drawn criticism from many quarters. Critics argue that it is counterproductive, harms American businesses and consumers, and damages relationships with key allies. They contend that a more collaborative approach to trade negotiations would be more effective. The coming weeks and months will be critical in determining the trajectory of these trade disputes. The world will be watching closely to see if the Trump administration's tariff strategy yields the desired results or leads to a full-blown trade war with devastating consequences for the global economy.